Our first guest is no stranger to the show. She keeps putting out these amazing books, and she has a brand new book that just came out. I think it came out no, the 11th. It came out on the 11th. And I've been seeing all kinds of accolades that she's been getting for
Yeah.
not only the new book, but still she's still getting accolades for The American Queen. So Vanessa Miller, welcome back to Black Authors Matter TV.
Thank you so much for having me.
And
Well,
it's
thank you for
exciting.
being here.
Yeah, it's so exciting. Well, before we even get into that, I have my copy of the book. It's on my to be read shelf, and along with dozens of other books. But I have
No.
it, and I am going to read it at some point. I haven't had a chance,
I have to
but
give you props, Vanessa, because I feel
yeah,
like The American Queen was just released yesterday.
yes,
And
yes.
you already have another book that's already doing amazing and getting amazing accolades. So it seems like the historical fiction space is where you are to stay.
Well, I guess, but I may have a little news later on on that, but I am writing another historical right now. So yes, I'm trying to write it, but this little release of the filling station is getting in the way. But I have a deadline, so I have to get this
Right.
one written. And so yeah, I am definitely writing another historical,
Well,
and
I'm proud of you, and I'm super happy for all of the flowers that you were getting. You know, we've both been in this literary game for quite a while. Um,
yeah.
I'm I'm still never gonna forget that rainy Baltimore Book Festival. And I think
Yes,
actually where we first met face to face.
yes.
And you looked like you felt so bad when you had to leave me in the rain, but it's all good because I sold books, you sold books. It was a beautiful thing. But just seeing you, like I said, seeing you get the
Mhm.
flowers that you deserve for being an amazing writer. I'm just happy to see it. And I think more authors really need to just applaud each other because we don't need to
Yeah,
compete. We can support each other,
absolutely.
we can applaud each other, we can read each other's books, we can promote each other, and that's what it's all about. So I'm always going to give you your flowers, and I'm always going to be clapping for you. And I want to
Thank
say,
you so much. I really appreciate that because I think that that's what we should do. I'm always trying to, support other authors and like you say, clapping for them because I truly believe, it might not be your season right now, but you need to be happy and clapping for the person who it is their season because we all know this is a hard business.
it
Yes,
And
is.
we
Yeah.
all know that, it's sometimes it's fleeting. And and you know we hope for lasting success with our books and things like that, but we have to be happy when we find some success with it because we all know we keep
yes.
working, we keep trying, and God is good, and we
All
just
the time.
yes, we just have to keep believing and keep trying to find those readers.
Absolutely.
Yeah, it seems like the industry has found a sweet spot with the historical fiction genre for African American stories, beyond just the slavery narrative.
Right.
All kinds of stories are coming forth, and
And
I hope
I
it
love that.
continues.
I love that you're making that point, Gwen, because our history is more than just the slave narratives. It doesn't mean
Yeah,
that we ignore them, but why
Correct.
not celebrate other parts of our history as well?
right. And recent history, it's not like forever ago. It's still people living that know about these other issues and situations and people, and I'm glad it's coming to light. With the success of the 688 movie that
Mhm.
Hmm.
Tyler Perry did, and then the three books about that were written before the film.
Absolutely.
So I'm hoping that it keeps going, one, and two, that if someone or if two books, for example, whatever they are, don't sell as well, that the publishing house, the different publishing houses don't start pulling back, because
Correct.
they are notorious for that.
Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah.
I think the publishing houses have found a sweet spot in historical fiction. There are a lot of historical fiction books that are popping up, and what I'm liking about it is that the books are good. They're not
Yes.
that's thrown
Yeah.
together. They're not something that they don't feel like something that somebody wrote because they think they can make a little money off of it. They actually
Right.
put research in, which leads me to my question for you, Vanessa. Because you've had the American Queen, now the filling station, and
Hmm.
you're working on your next historical fiction book. How do you find the time to to do all of the research that's required for these books? And then how do you edit that back? Because when you start researching, you're finding all of these cool facts. And
Yes.
so you might want to put all of them in, but you can't put all of them in, and you can't make it sound like a textbook because
Correct.
we want to give some history, but it's not a
Right.
textbook. So how,
Right. I learned that lesson with the American Queen, as I was writing it, because it was my first time, writing this historical on true facts that I needed to um, put all in a novel, but I still needed to make it feel like a story. And
right.
so my editor was just so very helpful with that, and helping me to understand. She sent me over to this website where I studied immersive writing. And that's what she was like, I think Luella needs uh you know to be told, because I'm a third person writer, but there's
Mhm.
this thing called third person. um I'm gonna say it wrong, but let's say third person immersive, but there's another word for it. Is that the correct word?
Yeah, there is a first person, there's a third person, and then there's a third person omniscient. I'm wondering if that's what
No,
you.
no, no, no. I'm talking about where it's immersive, but it's
Oh,
I think there's another word for it, but it's where you just um write it in a way where the reader feels like they're in the action,
oh, got it,
instead
got it.
of feeling like
Okay.
a narrator is telling them about the action. And
Okay.
so she had me study this, and I loved every minute of it. And so if I had not been writing a historical, I never would have learned this way, of writing. And so I'm kind of enjoying it, and it helps me when I'm writing my other historicals to I pull myself back and I allow the characters to just dance on stage, and
Yes.
so that it feels like you're with them as a reader.
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
People want to feel like the characters are their friends, like they really know them. Now,
Yes.
I will tell you, when I first read The American Queen, I felt like Luella was almost too strong. I almost
Mm,
wondered if she really loved her husband because she just seemed like she
right.
seemed mean in certain
Right.
ways. I think it's because she loved so hard. Is that
Well,
is
I,
that something that you were looking for?
no, again, I was writing her as if she didn't really know if she loved her husband in the beginning, but because of his goodness to her, because she never tells him that she loves him until I can't say until what, because there may be some readers who
It's a
haven't read
spoiler,
it, so
but
I don't
I
want to
read
give
it
away.
and I
I don't
know
want
when it is.
right. And so yeah, and so but that was because of I developed her like that because of the fact that she had lost so much.
Yeah.
And I
Hmm.
know that sometimes a person can harden their heart when they keep losing and losing
Yeah.
and losing. And it's to the point where you don't want to feel anymore. But William was, such a guy that, she couldn't help but feel for him. I love
Oh, you
King
gonna love
William.
me. Let me just let you know this is what it is. You gonna love me.
That's right. That's right.
Yeah. Yeah, it's almost like when and this can be in a novel or real life, when you've been hurt so many times or you've had so much loss,
Yeah.
you really are afraid to love
Correct.
again, to
Right.
put
And that's
everything
how I
in it
felt.
again, because you don't want to have that feeling again of
And
loss.
that was Luella, yes.
Yeah.
Queen Luella.
Yes, Queen Llewellyn. So tell us about the filling station.
So the filling station is, I'm actually combining two different historical facts in the book. The Threet Filling Station is a real place that is now a historical site because they provided shelter and safety for some people who were escaping the 1921 Tulsa Race Massacre. And this Threet Filling Station is on Route 66 in Luther, Oklahoma. So it was one of the only places that Black people could safely stop to refuel before they would enter a sundown town.
Okay.
So it wasn't the only, but it was one of the few. And and so I wanted to explore this idea of a safe haven in this book. And so that's why you see it's titled The Filling Station instead of Greenwood. But I then blend in the 1921 Tulsa Race Massacre. And Margaret and Evelyn are two sisters who have gone through this massacre, and they escape and they find themselves at the Threet Filling Station. And this is where they rebuild themselves, and they are able then to go back to Greenwood and rebuild their homes and businesses. Because a lot of people may have heard about the 1921 Tulsa Race Massacre, but they don't know the fact that this area was able to rebuild they were able to rebuild their homes and their businesses, and they became more prosperous than they were back in 1921 before the massacre. So 1925, a parade goes down Greenwood, and they have this convention announcing that they are back in business, and because people would come from all over to visit Greenwood. Well, after this massacre, people are afraid to come to Greenwood, so that's why they have this convention, and they bring people back there so they can see that Greenwood is a safe place to be, and the businesses are reopened, and they really begin to do even better business than what they did before. And you got to understand that Booker T. Washington dubbed them Negro Wall Street uh, in the early 1900s, because he passes away in 1915. So they are dubbed Negro Wall Street, early on. And today we know the term as Black Wall Street, but they were doing better business after that. And so that was something I wanted to celebrate, because I wanted to write a story about resilience. And that's what this book is about, the resilience of our people.
Well, the filling
Okay.
station sounds like a perfect name for a book about resilience.
Yes, it is. So filling station is two
Is it
ways.
a
The actual,
metaphor
yes.
and an actual? Okay.
Yes, yes, the actual filling station, and then there's a meaning for how we refuel our soul after we go through devastating situations. How do you fill yourself back up?
Okay. Now, was the title your genius, or I think it's a perfect title because it's so short and memorable.
Yeah,
It's important to have
yeah,
an impact on the
Mhm.
reader. It's easy to share it. It's easy to tell people. It's easy to remember.
correct. Now, I don't always get my title that I select. For instance, the American Queen was not my title. My publisher emailed me one day, and I turned the proposal in, and all I said was Kingdom of the Happy Land, because I didn't know what else to call it. And they emailed me one day, and they were like, Vanessa, what if we call this the American Queen? And and I knew immediately that was the title for it. So, but this one, I actually turned the proposal in with the title, "The Filling Station." So it's stuck with it, because it just felt nostalgic, and I think they all love the title as well.
Yeah, because that's what people used to call a gas station.
Yes.
You know,
Mm-hmm.
it was called a filling station. And
Absolutely.
if you look at some older films, you see, because we don't really have a memory of it now, but like in Back to the Future, when the people pulled into the gas station, a whole crew comes out
Yes.
to check your air pressure.
Mm-hmm.
People didn't pump their own gas.
Correct.
That was, I'm trying to remember when that changed. Was it the 90s?
Because see, when I was little, I still remember they were pumping our gas, and so, but yeah, so
And
we showed that in this
one
booklet.
time Oregon was still doing it. I remember driving through Oregon and stopping for gas, and we got ready to pump our gas, and the man came up and said it's illegal to pump your gas in this state. I was like,
Mm,
oh, okay. And so
wow.
yeah, they actually had service people who pumped your gas for you,
Yes.
cleaned your windshield, and they did not take a tip.
Yeah, I
I
think
don't
New
know if they still do
Jersey.
it, but they did it back. They did it years ago, about 20
I
years ago.
think New Jersey is still, you don't pump your gas in New Jersey. I think I
Okay.
saw that on the news recently, somebody mentioning it, that that's still the case in New Jersey. So, but it used to be everywhere
Right.
where people did not pump their own gas. And definitely not women, but
Correct.
it wasn't a
I
thing.
still try not to pump my own gas. I try to make sure my husband is in the car with me
Exactly.
when we need gas.
I don't want pumping the gas. No, I don't. Yeah.
It doesn't bother me, and so I've had to learn to adjust to it. Even when my husband was riding with me a lot, he couldn't. He's tech, but he's not necessarily tech savvy with what things are now, and he couldn't figure out the how to do the credit card at the pump. So I
Mm,
would end up doing it anyway. I said I'll just do the whole thing. So it doesn't bother me. And now I'm out a lot by myself. So when
right.
I'm driving, so you know, but that's what it used to be. It used to be called a filling station, and now years past, Black people in the South couldn't use the restrooms at the gas stations a lot of
Correct.
times
Mm-hmm.
when they would travel. But
Mm-hmm.
I don't think it was the case in the northern states, in the Midwest or the West. It was
Right.
basically in the South where people couldn't. Uh, they could stop, but they couldn't. They could get gas. Of
Right.
course, they would take your
Oh
money.
yeah, they wanted the money,
They wanted your
but
money,
but
but you couldn't use the facilities. And if you ate, you would have to eat. Get your food from the back door.
mm,
These are
yeah,
things that used to be the case when we were
yeah.
back in the day, and we have to appreciate that we're not there now. So, and we haven't been there, and we can, uh, go in the front door. And now, if you can afford to eat wherever it is now is you have to know if you can afford to eat wherever it is, but um, you can go in and sit down and eat, and that's not
And
something.
we pray that continues.
Well,
Right.
that will continue because guess what? We're not going to be going back anywhere. So, we are not going back. So,
Or I will not spend my money there when if
Exactly.
you
yeah,
tell
yeah.
me
I
to
mean,
go to the
we
back
have the
door.
power
And
to make
we have more
choices and
choices now.
decisions.
We
Yeah,
have more options,
That's
and this
absolutely.
takes nothing away from our ancestors from back in those days because often they didn't have the same options.
They
no,
didn't
they
have the
didn't.
options.
They didn't have the
Mm-mm.
option. It
No,
was foreboding.
no. Right.
Um, okay, Tony Benita said they were pumping gas when I got, what is DL?
I think she meant
Oh,
drivers.
driver's license.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I wanted to let you know what Robin
In
Pendleton said.
1963.
She ordered more copies of the filling station to ensure others read about this massacre and resilience of our people.
She
So
is so good to me. She is so good to me. And
Right.
anybody else out there, books make great gifts. So,
Yes.
so if you want to go grab copies of The Filling Station, I greatly appreciate it. And if you want to grab them from indie bookstores, because those indie bookstores are the ones who put me on the USA Today bestseller list last week, um, go grab it from one of those indie bookstores, and I really appreciate it. Thank you very much.
that experience. Was this your first time hitting the USA Today?
First time ever.
Oh, okay.
I didn't even check the list because I didn't believe I had made it.
That's
so I'm just
that's
I
fine.
said nope, I'm going on tour. I said I love this book. I believe in this book. So I'm going to do everything I can to promote it. I'm not going to even worry about it because I didn't I honestly didn't think I was going to make a list. And
Right.
it was Lashira Lee sent me a message on it was probably about 10 o'clock at night, and I see this 97, 98, and 99, and 98 had The Filling Station on it, and I look up and it says USA Today, and I was like, what is this? I was confused because I was like, what is this? And then I was like, wait a minute. I was like, that's not USA Today. Then I started jumping up. I woke my husband up.
Yeah, that's a good reason to wake him up.
Yes,
Yeah.
oh, he was excited once he figured out what was going on. Because I was like, what is going on here? I was actually shocked. Like I say, I didn't even check the list because I didn't believe it was on there. So I will be checking the list tomorrow though and see if it stays. But even if it doesn't stay, hey, I'm a
You can
USA
say,
Today
yeah,
bestseller.
yeah, you can claim the title. Yeah.
Absolutely. But yeah,
That's
that was my first time all these years. That was my first time making the list.
Congratulations. That's an amazing.
Thank you.
yeah, that's an amazing accomplishment and good, and it helps book sales
Uh,
because
we
people,
hope.
well, people you refer to those lists for books to read, and they figure, if people are buying it, it must be good, or it must be worthy of reading or investing
Mhm.
in or whatever. So that's really, really great. Glad to hear that. So now I wanted to the cover of the book.
Mhm.
I always like to really look at book covers. I think they're so amazing. So this is our main character, the lady on the cover. Is she our main character?
Yes, that's Margaret.
Okay, all right. And you have the motif of an actual filling station where you have the gas. Now, did you look at old pictures of gas filling stations for your design in
It just
terms
went
of
out.
Oh,
when they
okay.
did
Okay,
I
there
the?
you go.
don't know if it was just me or if it was you, Gwen, or if
Oh,
Yeah, Gwen kind of went out for a minute.
I did. And you know
Mhm.
what just flashed on my screen was my internet connection was restored. So I didn't
Uh-huh.
even know it was gone. But I was asking about your cover
Mhm.
and the did you refer to old photographs of gas stations from that time period for this motif? Or did your publisher do that?
I draw stick figures, so I
Okay.
didn't do this cover. My publisher, yes, they referred to. They knew that that's how the gas pumps were during that time with the globe at the top, and
Mm-hmm.
so yes, and then the car they have the car here that was the style in the 1920s. So they did an excellent job, and the house there. That's how the filling station was a three filling station because where the people would go in to purchase like their snacks or whatever, it was
Mm-hmm.
like a house right there where the filling station was. So that's the way it was built. And so I like the way they did that. They did an excellent job on this cover.
They
I like
did.
I'm
And
also
she's
saying why
dressed.
I'm also
She's
saying
dressed
why
like
for
she's
the
going
American.
somewhere.
Um, did you mean for that to look that way with the American flag in the background?
I didn't hear you.
I was looking at it looks like red, white, and blue in the background. I was wondering if that was intentional. I can't.
I don't see red, white, and
No,
blue.
it's more
It might
like
it might just be my
watercolors.
computer because it looked like red, white, and blue to me. I thought,
It's purple and
No, it's
pinks
watercolors, like a
and
sunset
yellow.
almost.
yeah,
The
Hmm.
it does.
different
It
colors
looks
of a
like a
sunset.
sunset, but it also looked like red, white, and blue. I wasn't sure if that was something that you meant to do.
No, there's no red, white, and blue on
Okay,
it.
that might just be my computer, girl.
Hmm.
Sometimes colors can look different on the computer. Oh, and
Yeah.
you got an
Absolutely.
endorsement statement from Jody Picoult.
I
It's on the cover.
did. I
She
did. It
Yeah.
was so wonderful of her. I contacted her and I said, I told her I wrote this book, and she said, I'm familiar with the Tulsa Race Massacre. She said, send me the book. And so she was getting ready to go out on tour. So we didn't know if we were going to get the endorsement from her. But so my editor was like, okay, well, we can wait until December when you're back. And she read that book in that weekend and sent us the quote the next Monday. And we were shocked that
wow.
we got it, that because
I
because
love
she
the fact that she took the time to actually read the book. You
she
know,
did.
it wasn't a chat GPT thing. It wasn't write it for me and put my name on it. She
Mm-mm.
took time to write the book and give you a heartfelt review, and that's
She
wonderful.
did. She did. And we were very appreciative of it because we knew she was busy. And she wasn't just going on a regular tour. She was doing an American tour and an overseas tour.
Oh,
So
wow.
that's why she was going to be gone a while. And I was like, wow, that she took the time to read it and give us a review. I mean, an endorsement that quick. And matter of fact, I emailed her when it made USA Today, and I thanked her because I know, like, some of the bookstore owners, they pointed to her quote to me. So I know that that's why some of the indies even took the book in, because she bothered to give me a quote when she was busy and didn't, and you had to find the time to do it. But I think she felt like it was something, a worthy cause to do, because of the 1921 Tulsa Race Massacre. I don't know if it had been another book if she would have taken the time, but she was like, I'm familiar with that, send it over. And she turned that endorsement right on in, and I appreciate it.
Now, did
Wonderful.
you already have a relationship with her,
Nope.
or you just reached out like on a
I
fluke
I
and
I
was
re-
hoping for the best?
I reached out. Same with
Okay.
Lisa Wingate. Now I have a relationship with Lisa. But when I reached out to her to do an endorsement for the first book, she did an endorsement for me on was Something Good, and I just told her I was just coming back to traditional publishing, and I didn't. Now we need endorsements, because the game had changed on me while I was gone. I didn't know you need endorsements, and so I was like, I need an endorsement. And she emailed me back, and she said, I've been where you are. She was like, I understand you need a hand up. She said, send me the book, and I sent her the book, and the rest is history because she turned me into a historical fiction writer. If it wasn't for Lisa Wingate, I would still be trying to sell my women's fiction. And that was hard. so it's been a little easier trying to sell these historicals, but yeah. And so yeah, Jody just she responded. I had asked her for an endorsement one other time, and she responded then too, and she couldn't do it, but
Okay.
she responded and said,
And that sometimes
my
that means a lot that they just took the time to respond.
Yeah.
correct, because some people, let me tell you, some people will not even respond to you. And so that's why when people write something to me, or I try my best to respond, because I know how it feels when they just ignore you. I mean, you might not be able to do it, but you can take that moment to let people know why you can't do it. It
Mhm.
doesn't take but a moment. And so then the second I said, you know what? Okay, she couldn't do that one. I forget what book it was on. But I was like, okay, I'm coming back and I'm gonna ask again. and so and so I was like, okay, if she says no this time, I won't bother her anymore. But God knew it was time. And so I'm thankful.
Awesome.
Well, Vanessa, we're at the end of our time. But we really appreciate you being back on the show. Congratulations on the success of the filling station
Thank
and the
you.
American Queen. And we look forward to your next historical fiction book, which will probably be out in 2026. Am I
Yeah, late
estimating that right?
2026.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, because you're still writing. That's why I said so.
Yes.
Yeah. All right. Well, take care, and I look forward to reading it and
Okay, thank you guys.
enjoying it.
Bye. Thank
Okay.
you.
Bye-bye.
Bye bye.